Walt Disney there with some Thursday morning motivation telling us to do things rightly. Good morning and welcome to The Conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network TOS Television, and I am Sagir Ibrahim.
And my name is Merciful Ajinimo. Thank you for joining us on The Conversation. How are you doing, Sagir?
Good morning, Merciful.
Good morning.
All right, so I'll just dive straight into it. Let's start with development across Africa. So we begin. Long-distance runner Agnes Tirop, Kenya's two-times World Championship bronze medalist, was found allegedly stabbed to death by her husband at her home, Athletics Kenya said on Wednesday in a statement.
That's a very sad story, and I do wish and hope that justice is being served at the end of the day.
Yes.
Moving on, 11 members of a task force tasked with dismantling al-Bashir's financial and political legacy and overseeing Sudan's transition to democracy were slapped with a travel ban by Sudan's Security Service, government sources said, as tensions between civilian and military leaders threatened to boil over weeks after a failed coup.
I mean, it's not unexpected, considering what
has happened before now.
Yes. All right, so finally, 5 years after student Giulio Regenis' mutilated body was found in a ditch near Cairo in February 2016, 4 senior members of Egypt's security services will in absentia stand trial in an Italian court on Thursday over their suspected role in Regenis' disappearance, torture, and murder. That is quite unfortunate, especially to hear that, those who are supposed to be charged with the responsibility of securing and protecting
ensuring peace and order
being indicted in this situation. All right, that's the much we can take for development across Africa. We'll go on a short break, and before then, we will be bringing you COVID-19 updates from across Africa, after which the big story follows. Don't go anywhere.
You're still watching The Conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. It's that time we are. So you have to be a part of our social media community. Follow us across all our social media platforms, that is at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page, TOS TV Network. It's the big story, the crux of the conversation. And so far, we'll be talking about the recent trends and what's happening in Nigeria. And this time, we'll talk about COVID-19, federal government setting December 1st, a vaccination deadline for workers. Joining us via telephone this time is Dr. Moses Paul, a human rights activist and environmentalist. You're welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here, as always.
All right. Just go straight to it. Enforcing COVID-19 vaccination has been a very controversial topic, of course, in Nigeria and, of course, on the international scene as well. And now we had the news that there is a move by the federal government to, enforce a deadline come December 1st. What do you make of this development?
Well, it's expected, given the narrative of things, especially with this particular regime. Of course, for some of us, we know that this was going to come. As it is right now, you can't even travel out of the country to anywhere without this vaccination. And it has been since its inception, once the vaccine was introduced.
Yes.
And so even though when you look at global trend and events, again, you would have thought that perhaps, given even some of the things that are happening in some of the states in America where certain governors have come out to say no. In fact, it's been signed into law that they would not enforce. They would encourage everyone, to be vaccinated and protected in that reserve and context and reserve. However, governors in certain states in America have said they would not enforce it, but will encourage people to be vaccinated. You would have thought that a nation like Nigeria will probably do likewise, given the fact that if first world nations will be giving exceptions to people who wouldn't want to, you would expect that a nation like Nigeria, where a huge population have not been covered under the vaccination, would temper justice with mercy, even if it is within their own purview to protect, as its word, its citizens. This is what you would expect. But again, like I said in my opening statement, narrative of a regime that has become tyrannical and is enforcing certain draconian moves and laws. Of course, what would you do? The only thing is that one would say, okay, maybe because these are people who are within the ambit of the federal government, because we're talking about civil servants now. They have every right to mandate them to do that. But given the context of the global happenings, it would be expected that a country like Nigeria shouldn't toe that part, at least not for now. That would have been what I would have expected. But again, we're talking about tyranny. We're talking about almost a camouflage military regime, as it were, right now. So this is what the narrative is.
All right, doctor. So I want to ask now, bearing in mind that Nigeria, like you said, is a developing country, and the manufacture of these vaccines is not done domestically. We actually get this vaccine through the COVAX facility, through efforts by the World Health Organizations and other countries who have been giving us these vaccines via donations. So bearing in mind also that about less than 5% or thereabouts of the Nigerian population has been vaccinated, just about 5%, and also the fact that these vaccines are not even enough to cater for an explosion of the number of people here in Nigeria. Do you think the government now has the legal standing to come out saying, look, we're giving you December 1 as a deadline? We know that a majority of Nigeria's workforce are mostly civil servants or government workers, as the case may be. So don't you think there's a sort of dispersion or disparity, between what the government is saying and what the reality is currently?
Exactly the point I was making even earlier. Something is deeply and dangerously wrong with the ideologies upon which almost everything is predicated upon in this country called Nigeria. It never ceases to amaze some of us why again and again it's almost like the proverbial madness of a person who will continually cut himself, and even though he's tied down with chain, he will break the chain and keep cutting himself. This is what we see with the policies and the leadership narrative with Nigeria, because it makes no sense. You can imagine when the NIN saga was up everywhere, you wanted people to register and get their SIMs and everything registered, but you want it within this stipulated 3 months or so. And then at the end of the day, it will not happen. So I don't know why we keep going into like a cycle of failure. Given the data and given what the reality is, it
Doctor,
is practically impossible.
All right.
So there is something wrong with our value system, the ideology that leads us to continue to wander in circles and continue to go round and round in circle on something that is completely impossible. That is a problem that we're having in this country. It is not workable, it is not practicable, it is not doable, but yet the government continues to behave like the proverbial madman who keeps cutting himself with different rules and regulations and policies that are untenable. This is what we are seeing, and it's exactly what is going to happen come December 1st, like they have already announced.
Okay, unfortunately, we're out of time. I'll just need a 1-minute sentence answer to my question. So I was going to liken this update to perhaps a mother and child, a child who does not know that he needs drugs, but the mother forces the child to take it. Now, we're having an issue, and that's COVID-19. And don't you think there are times where desperate measures need to be taken?
I accept and I agree that that will have to be done. But is that the case? And I ask you, is that the case with Nigeria? Because you can see clearly, and the data have shown, even the people that purportedly have been said to have died of COVID-19, comparable with malaria, comparable with road accidents, are completely nothing. So again, you can see that.
All right. Thank you again so much, Doctor, for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you.
And that's the much we can take on the conversation this morning. Remember, the conversation comes to you weekdays, Monday to Friday on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TUS Television. And you can be part of the conversation, of course, by connecting with us on our various social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TUS TV Network. You could also watch the conversation via our website at www.tustvnetwork.com or watch a recap of the conversation via our YouTube page at TUS TV Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, I am Sagir Ibrahim.
And my name is Merciful Ajunimo. Be good and stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow.